Hey guys, what's up? It's Exup here, and recently I just finished watching the first season of The Beginning After the End, or TBATE, and in this video, I will share my thoughts on the show. Hey guys, before we continue with the video, please do consider hitting like and subscribe and clicking on the notification bell so that you won't miss out on any new uploads. And with that, let's go back to the video. As you may know, last year, TBATE made quite a splash when the anime adaptation came out. It was quite controversial because it garnered intense reactions from fans of the manhwa and from anime fans in general. At the time, I was supposed to make reaction videos to it as it was airing, but after my channel got terminated, I put it off and decided not to watch it. However, I finally decided to watch TBATE, and this might surprise you, but I don't think it was all that bad. Now, before you jump at me and tear me limb from limb, let me preface this by saying that I have not read the manhwa, so my opinion is solely based on my first impressions of the anime. And to tell you the truth, I have seen worse adaptations with horrendous animation quality and poorly written plots. In contrast, TBATE seemed to me just like any other run-of-the-mill fantasy adventure isekai that has come out in the past 5 years. However, having said that, I understand the frustrations of all the die-hard, hardcore fans of the manhwa. Even without reading the original source material, I could already see the potential of this story simply based on the first couple of episodes. It had glimmers of greatness if the animation had been done with meticulous effort. So I think the fact that TBATE's interesting premise and plot were paired up with lackluster animation is the source of people's massive disappointment, mine included. Still, as I mentioned already, the animation quality of TBATE is quite similar to a lot of C-tier and some B-tier fantasy adventure anime. And despite that, there were certain elements of the story that actually made the anime more bearable to watch. Now, I usually don't want to compare anime with each other because every anime has its own merits on which it can stand. But in this case, it's sort of difficult to evaluate TBATE without comparing it with anime such as Mushoku Tensei, which shares some similarities with TBATE. In terms of the premise, TBATE is like Mushoku Tensei. The difference being that the main character in TBATE, Arthur Lewin, used to be the greatest king in his past life. Meanwhile, Rudius Greyrat of Mushoku Tensei had a very pathetic previous life. Even so, they're both given a second chance at life and their story takes off from there. I think this is where TBATE may have a bit of an advantage over Mushoku Tensei, because Arthur seems more mature in his thoughts and in his actions despite going through similar struggles. And I think we can credit this maturity to Arthur's early encounter with Sylvia the dragon. Thanks to Sylvia, Arthur became more pensive and self-controlled, not letting his impulses and emotions get the better of him. Initially, Arthur carried over his personality of being a cold-hearted, subtly pompous and aggressive king, but with the help of Sylvia, he mellowed down and became more emotionally stable. Animation aside, I think the story itself shows great promise. I think the voice acting and the dialogue in this show is actually decent. And even though there are some stories with similar plot lines, I think what I find endearing with TBATE's story is that we have the greatest king who had the worst childhood and a traumatic past life receiving a new lease on life with a fresh new start and finally learning how it feels to be loved and what it means to cherish others. It is actually a story of second chances, of hope, and of love. And putting all of that in the context of a fantasy adventure just makes it all the more exciting to watch, because it's a coming-of-age story where we follow Arthur's journey to perhaps becoming the greatest mage in history, but also growing in kindness, benevolence, and humility. Right now, the second season is airing, and I might actually continue watching the show even though I know it's not the best animation quality. I might also just read the manhwa so that I can feel what all of you diehard fans of TBATE feel about it. Thank you guys for watching this video. Click here to subscribe and check out these two videos for more fun content. See you in the next one.